All right, so we give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. And pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. And I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. And if another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that come from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accuse you, even Moses in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Yahuah Baruch, GP, man. Peace, brother Nate, man. Shalom, Jake. Come over here to Lamentations 5. We good in what we had and what we was at. And Nehemiah 2. So we swing over here to Lamentations 5, man. I'm going to pick this up, man. Peace, brother Omar, man. Pick this up, man, about verse 17, man. Then I'll come back and we can start from the top. For this our heart is faint. For these our eyes are dim because of the mountain of Zion, which is desolate. The foxes walk upon it. You, O Yahuah, remain forever, your throne from generation to generation. Where do you forget us forever and forsake us so long time? Turn you us unto you, O Yahuah, and we shall be turned. Renew our days of old. But you have utterly rejected us. You are very wroth against us. All right, so boom, we're gonna go to verse 1, right? I think we got about how many spots we got left, man? We're gonna get Lamentations 5 out of the way. And that's gonna leave us with 4 more locations. Judges and Numbers 1, Ruth 3, Jeremiah 5. We'll try to zoom through, Lord willing, to knock these out before unleavened bread get to shaking. So I always think of Luke when Christ said Herod was a fox with this verse. Indeed, and that's fair. And we're gonna look at that in a moment. This is verse 1 of Lamentations 5, man. Remember, O Yahuah, what is to come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our house to aliens. We are orphans and fatherless, our mothers as widows. We have drunken our water for money, and our wood is sold unto us. Our necks are under persecution, we labor and have no rest. We have given the hand to the Egyptians and to the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that deliver us out of your hand. We got our bread with the peril of our lives. Shalom, Sister Regina. Because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. They ravished the women in Zion and the maids in the cities of Yehudah. Princes are hanged up by their hand, and the faces of the elders were not honored. They took the young men to grind, and the children fell under the wood. The elders have ceased from the gate, and the young men from their music. The joy of our heart has ceased, our dance is turned into mourning. The crown has fallen from off our head. Woe unto us that we have sinned. Now, there's a multitude of things, really, truth be told. We probably shouldn't even take this long to go through this, you know what I'm saying? Just might have to extend the session out a little bit, you dig? So, we're in verse 1. Remember, O Yahuah, what is to come upon us? Consider and behold our reproach. So, we're going to take a look at that first quality. I still got something from Zechariah 12, what I mentioned about what that was, man. By verse 7 or verse 9. When we were talking about that Matthew 5 and Matthew 11 with John the Baptist. I mentioned that, but we ain't delve into it. So when we look at, of course, remember it's a car. So they're asking you who to remember and to consider. Of course, that is nabat, to pay attention to show regard to. So I want you to come to Exodus as it pertains to that, about showing regard to. This is Exodus 2. (2 and 23). Exodus 2 and 23. And it came to pass in the process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the sons of Yasharal sighed by reason of the bondage. And they cried, and the cry came up unto Elohim by reason of the bondage. Now, of course, we come into unleavened bread, and it's something we touched on many, many years ago, of course, dealing with the aspect of Yahushua delivering us from the bondage of sin the same way the Passover lamb delivered them from the bondage of being in Egypt. Now, of course, this word is abado, or abadah, excuse me. Ayin, ba, dalit, hey, labor, service, or labor of a servant or a slave, labor of service of captives or subjects. So they're crying by reason of the bondage. Now, pause. Hebrews 2. Hebrew 2, man. I want to do this at man. Verse 10 is fine. Hebrew 2 and 10. For it became him from whom are all things, and by whom are all things, and bringing many sons unto esteem, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. For both he that sanctifieth and they who are sanctified all are of one, for which cause he is not ashamed to call them brethren, saying, I will declare your name unto my brethren in the midst of the assembly, will I sing praise unto you. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the sons which Elohim have given me, for as much then as the sons are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had power of death, that is the devil, and deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. Now we'll look at the Greek word for bondage just on general principle. Now, of course, you know what John 8 says. He that commits sin is the servant of sin, and the servant abide not in the house forever. And again, this is dulia, slavery, bondage, the condition of a slave. So, of course, you know what's going on with that. I want you to come back to Exodus, right? Because it's something that came to my mind the other day, right? Come back to Exodus 1, though. Or it might be 2 and 1. Let me see. Excuse me. Now, Exodus 1, actually. You can make it 1 and 1. Now, these are the names of the sons of Yasharal, which came into Mizraim. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Yehudah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Mizraim already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the sons of Yasharal were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Now, when you hear this passage, right, there arose a king that didn't know Joseph, considering that it stated that Joseph had died. Does anything come to your mind with that? Let me see what comes to y'all mind when you hear this passage. I'll share to you with, now, of course, my mind might have went in this direction because based off of things that I was thinking on and the conversation that we was having. But when you hear that there rose up a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph, does anything come to anybody's minds as it pertains to that? The Antichrist? Very well, sir. In what regard? Now, there's not a right or a wrong answer for this, so y'all can know that. I'm just stating, just sharing. Shalom, Brother Robert. What came to my mind, what come to your mind could be different, and that's fine. In what regard, Stan, with the Antichrist? What came to mind for you on that? You say blanking? What you mean by that, man? A new ruler who doesn't know Yahushua to know Yahushua to be one with him and live sin free. That's fair. That's fair. What you mean by that, Brother Nate? And then we'll roll out, man. You know what I'm talking about? I know everybody can't necessarily type, so it's all right. Say maybe Solomon's son who didn't rule like his father. That's fair. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell y'all what came to my mind, right? So now I was mentioning, okay, boom. There rose up someone who didn't know Joseph because Joseph was dead. So I want you to come over here to that's fair also. That's what I say, that's fair. Ain't nothing wrong with none of that. You know what I'm talking about? At all. Because what it's saying, Daniel, he won't regard the God of his father. So in that aspect, yeah, I can go for that. But come over here to Ecclesiastes 9 or 9 and 3. And I share to you what came to my mind as it pertains to that. Because I wasn't going, well, some stuff is going, but I wasn't going. The testimony why that ain't necessarily what came to my brain. You know what I'm talking about? So this is Ecclesiastes 9 and 3. This is an evil among all that are done under the sun. That one event unto all. Yea, also the heart of the sons of Adam is full of evil and madness in their heart while they live. And after that, to the dead. For to him that is joined to all the living, there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. Neither they have any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Also their love and their hatred and their envy is now perished. Neither have they any more a portion forever in any that is done under the sun. So when I came in my mind, it pertains to that. One, Joseph died. There's no memory of him. This is a harsh reality that people don't like to deal with. Once you die, man, and a period of time start going by, people in the earth not going to remember you. You know what I'm saying? Because once you get to one generation, another generation, another generation, another generation, another generation, another generation, you're not going to be remembered. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You got these people who remembered in these history books because they did certain things and certain places, you know what I'm saying, in regard to having a memorial, kind of like how you see with the woman who anointed the Lord, she has a memorial. She's remembered. But in general, as the text just said, man, the memory of you is forgotten. Now I'm thinking about this in the regards to, of course, there's going to be a Pharaoh who not going to know who Joseph is, because he's dead and he's been dead a long time. And all the people who knew him, interacted with him, whatever the case may be, they dead too. And don't nobody remember them either. Now, here's the juxtaposition to the statement. Number one, it's in verse 4 when he say, for him that is joined to all the living, there is hope. So now we'd have to establish who is this living that you're joined to, that you have this expectation. But then we also want to go into this here in Jeremiah 17. So let's swing on around that. I think I missed what Brother Nate said. So you don't know, maybe Solomon's son who did. And that's fair also. Because like I said, with both of what y'all came with, you know, we can go in directions on that, and those can be easily justified. But I want you to come over here to Jeremiah 17, excuse me. And I'm going to start at verse 5 on the strength, because 5 ain't what I want, but we'll start at 5 on the strength. Thus saith Yahuah, cursed be the man that trust in man, that make flesh his arm, whose heart depart from Yahuah. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good come, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, a salt land not inhabited. Baruch is the man that trusts in Yahuah, whose hope Yahuah is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, spread out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat come. But her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. The heart is deceitful above all, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, Yahuah, search the heart. I try the reins, to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doing. The partridge sit on and hatch not. He that get riches and not by right shall leave them in the midst of his days, and at the end and at his end shall be a fool. A glorious high throne from the beginning, the place of our sanctuary. I just want you to keep that in mind when he tell you that there's a glorious high throne from the beginning, which is the place of his sanctuary. But this is the verse that we came here for. Oh, Yahuah, the hope of all Yasharal, all that forsake you shall be ashamed, and they that depart from me shall be written in the earth, because they have forsaken Yahuah, the fountain of living waters. Now I ask y'all this question: what does it mean to be written in the earth? What does it mean to be written in the earth? The end of days, man. You say like Cain. In what regard? I need y'all to be specific as you possibly can, considering whatever medium you may be using. Now I'm gonna go over here and look at Cain, right? This is Genesis 4. This is verse 11. And now you are cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. And when you till the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto you her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth. Separate from Yahuah, lake of fire, not in the book of life, name not written in heaven. All correct. When your name is written in the earth, that means just that. You have a remembrance in the earth. And as y'all astutely stated, no remembrance in Shamaim. So when you come back to the point where you say the memory of them is forgotten, say this heaven and earth will pass away if you're written in this earth. Correct. Let's take a look at that on general principle. Isaiah 52. That's 51, excuse me. 51 and 4. Hearken unto me, O my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation, for a law shall proceed from me, and I'll make my judgment to rest for a light of the people. My righteousness is near, my salvation is gone forth. My arm shall judge the people, the owl shall wait upon me, and on my arm shall they trust. Lift up your eyes to Shamahim and look upon their rats beneath, for the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they that dwell therein shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished. Shalom, Brother Marvin, man. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. As far as, going on your belly and him eating the dust of the ground. But the part that I'm focusing on is what's in Ecclesiastes 9 when they say their memory is forgotten. The same way they said that Pharaoh didn't know Joseph. And the reason why I mention that is in the earth, your name could be forgotten, but if your name is written in heaven, then you'd have a remembrance forever. You understand? Because he said everybody that abandons him, name will be written in the earth. Now, let's go over here to Malachi, right? Especially the conversation we were having, man, because they were going in last night about something. I wasn't really privy to that conversation. I think that to how it went down, but I think the conversation sparked along the lines, we want Malachi 3 and 13. What it is, man? What it was talking about? Because I was watching the baseball game, so I wasn't really paying attention. I think it was something along the lines like if your child, and we're talking about a child, we're talking about a grown adult, wanted to be a transgender, would you still support them, love them, et cetera, et cetera? We're not talking about a child who live under your roof, who's underage, and then they got to be mandated to follow whatever instructions you lay out. We're talking about 25, 30 years. They grown, they out your house. You know what I'm saying? If that be the case, that they out your house. You know what I'm saying? How would you look at that? You know what I'm saying? Me personally, yeah, you can't come over here. You know what I'm saying? Like my son come over here, he talking about, yeah, I'm a woman now. You can't come to my house wearing no dress, bro. And it's for no other reason is I would not allow anybody else to do that. So I'm not gonna give you a pass because you my son. Some people don't look at it that way. Some people look at, man, they gonna love, support, you know, whatever the case may be, their children, no matter what it is that they choose to do. If my son chose to sell dope, knowing that that's not a direction that you had to take, you can't come to my house, cuz. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not co-signing that. I don't want no money from you. Don't buy nothing for me. Because I know where you get your revenue from. I don't want nothing to do with that. Let me tell you something. A lot of dudes who sell dope, you know, a lot of people in their family do. They take the money from them and they let them buy them things. And then when they get caught up, they try to act like, oh, no, you got to learn this, that, there, and the third. Nah, see, if you wasn't with it, you shouldn't have took nothing from it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people feel like that you should support your children and no matter what it is that they choose to do. But before I had a child, I was a man. And as a man, you have certain principles that you got to go by. Now, you go by, you know what I'm saying? Even if you ain't in the word. So when you turn around and you look at it as forth as the word is concerned, you know, he said, hey man, if your people was committing idolatry, you supposed to be the first one to handle that. As that conversation progressed, I think a question was asked because you have different cultures who do different things. Y'all know that in Muslims' culture, they marry young girls. And when I say young girls, we talking about 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. You know what I'm saying? Then that junk shifted to, because they did a recap this morning, because these niggas still going off about this junk. Does the Torah explicitly say how old a young woman must be before you can marry her? You know what I'm saying? And see, and I mention that here because, you know, as it says in Romans, you know, as Paul put it, you know, the letter kill, but the ruach give life. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you have a lot of people, well, if it don't explicitly say that, it's not wrong. Like it don't explicitly say don't shoot heroin, don't smoke crack. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a pedophile. Nevertheless, you could read in Genesis 37 when you could see clear day where Judah was like, nah, I can't give my son to Tamar because he's not of age. So that means when you turn around and you see that, oh, he's not of age, that means that there was a standard there that wasn't normal practice that you just take. Because, you know, you got people who, especially in scholastic circles, they'll run around and tell you that Joseph was 40 plus years old and Mary was 14, 15 years old because they believe that because of the societies around Yasharal that was on that type of time. But of course, you don't read explicitly in the text well how old she was. You know what I'm saying? Or the fact of that the book even co-signed that type of conduct. Now, you can see from the text that they consider to be of age to be 20 years old. And we can see that with the people who were sworn as wrath that they wouldn't get in. You know what I'm talking about? Because then the question is shifted to, okay, in this society, 18 is legal. Would you allow your 18-year-old daughter to be married? So see, now word-wise, how would you attack that? How would you approach that? I say mention to him, people get the game twisted because he was talking about y'all don't want to be Hebrews because you disagree with the culture. Me personally, I don't want to be a Hebrew. I'd rather be a son of God. You know what I'm saying? What profit it is that you being a Hebrew do? Nothing but you get the word first. So I'm not moved or impressed by that. Only mention that because that's something that a lot of people hang their hat on. That's their business. But as we've discussed previously, when you look in the word, when people were betrothed, you're married. But the marriage is not consummated until conjugals are done. And I think that's what, when it comes to marriage wise, word wise, where a lot of people be stumped and stumble at. Because we look at it from the standpoint of that's my boyfriend, that's my girlfriend, that's my fiance. They didn't operate like that. Once that woman was betrothed to that man, that was her husband. This is why in 1 Corinthians 7, Paul says this. Come walk over here to 1 Corinthians 7. This is why he says this. Let me see if I got to use my app or is this page still in this book? And it is. I want you to come to verse 37. 1 Corinthians 7 and 37. Actually, 36. Shalom, Brother Marvin, man. Matter of fact, I'm going to back it up to 32. This is 1 Corinthians 7 and 32. But I would have you without carefulness, that he that is unmarried care for the things that belong to the Lord, and how he may please the Lord. But he that is married care for the things that are of the world, and how he may please his wife. There's a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman care for the things of the Lord, that she may be both kadosh, both in body and in ruach. But she that is married care for the things of the world, and how she may please her husband. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, for that for which is comely, and that you may attend upon the Lord without distraction. But if any man think that he behave himself uncomely towards his virgin, and if she pass the flower of her age and need so require, let him do what he will. He sin not, let them marry. Now, why is he saying his virgin? Now, of course, you know, in Hebrew, you got two different words for virgin. You know what I'm talking about? And one is a woman of marriageable age. If this is his virgin, if you know your law from Deuteronomy 22 or Exodus 21, this woman has been betrothed to him. That's his wife. He just hadn't consummated with her yet. He's letting you know, hey, if you consummate with that woman, you have not sinned. But that's his wife. That's not his girlfriend. They didn't do that during that time period. That's his wife. You know what I'm saying? I don't think a lot of people understand that. That's why your law say if you lay with a woman who's betrothed to a man, you've committed adultery. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's another man's wife. Period, point blank. You know what I'm talking about? And people could be betrothed as teens and not be consummated until they're of age. Case in point, because Judah's sons died, his younger son was effectively betrothed to Tamar. That was her husband until he came of age, which is why she came stepping to him, because he had not done what he was supposed to do. And we could look at that if you so wish. Let me give you virgin here, man, and uncomely. Let me give you uncomely first. This is ascamino, to act unseemly, the unbecoming. You know what I'm saying? You're a little hot to try. You're looking for some yams. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Virgin. Parthenos, a virgin, a marriageable maiden, a woman who has never had sexual intercourse with a man, one's marriageable daughter, one who has never, well, that's dealing with a man, so you don't want that. Now, when they tell you that she's past the flower of her age, flower of her age is huperkamos, beyond the bloom or prime of life, overripe, plump, ripe, of a virgin, past the bloom prime of youth, past the flower of her age. That means, as some people take flower there and they refer to her menstrual cycle. But in this instance of the context of what this Greek word is referring to, past the bloom of the prime of youth, beyond the bloom or prime of life, or of a virgin, that means that she's a full age. This ain't got nothing to do with her menstrual cycle, because some cultures teach that once a girl has her menstrual cycle, that means she is able to be married. You know what I'm talking about? But of course, as we just looked at what this word means, that's not what's being communicated. Now, we can type in and see what AI will give you for flower of her age. And then we'll go to Genesis 20:37 or 38, whichever one it is. So, past the flower of her age is a woman moving past the prime, conventional, or ideal age for marriage and into older, mature adulthood. It signifies that she is no longer in the initial bloom of her youth, prompting need to marry if she desires. Now, it says it indicates the woman is mature, likely past the usual age of betrothal, seen as 12 to 15 in certain contexts. ancient context. Now, of course, it's not going to refer specifically to Israelite context because they don't always necessarily just refer to Israelite culture specifically. They just refer to ancient context in general. So come over here to Genesis, and we still holding Exodus, Malachi. Now I'm just doing this because sometimes I'll say some people be wanting to see it to say plainly, boom, 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 versus just having Genesis 38, just being able to derive understanding from the play. So when it say past the flower of age, it's not talking about a woman who's having her menstrual cycle. It's talking about a woman who's an adult. So what does this mean in regards to this? Well, let's take a look at this. This is Genesis 38 and 11. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow. Let me back this up, man. Verse 6. And Yehudah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. Yehudah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Yahuah, and Yahuah slew him. Yahuah said unto Onan, go into your brother's wife and marry her and raise up seed to your brother. Onan knew that the seed should not be his, and it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife that he spilled it on the ground, lest he should give seed to his brother. The thing which he did displeased Yahuah, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Yehudah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at your father's house till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also as his brethren. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. In the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Yehudah's wife, died, and Yehudah was comforted and went unto his sheep shearers, the Timnath, and he and his friend Hirah, the Adamalite. And it was told to Tamar, saying, behold, your father-in-law go up to Timnath to shear his sheep. She put her widow garments off from her and covered her with a veil and wrapped herself and sat in an open place, which is by the way of Timnath, for she saw that Shelah was grown and she was not given unto him to wife. Peace, Brother Joseph. Now, let's look at what it has for the definition for grown. And that's just gadol, to be great, to become great, to be important, or to grow up, to cause to grow. Now, this is a simple fact of clearly there's a standard for this because it said he had to be grown first. She seen he was grown. You didn't bring him around here. You know what I'm saying? And I only mention this here because it always come up that the cultural norm that Israelites were marrying young girls and they weren't. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was out here. It ain't like them Arabs be doing. Them Arabs marrying 8, 9, 10-year-old girls, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. But culturally, Israelite-wise, because the word doesn't say it explicitly, people just make assumptions because the people around them were doing that. But no. As you see right here in Genesis 38, you know what I'm saying? Judah give a direct instruction to her, stay to your people house, man, till my son is grown. So when you read 1 Corinthians 7, he say, hey, if you got a virgin, which is your wife, and she passed the flower of her age, meaning she's a grown adult, then you marry her, you good. You know what I'm talking about? You ain't got no grown man, he like, oh, she 12, I want her. That's crazy as hell. You know what I'm talking about? But people believe that because let me see what these people say the age difference between Mary and Joseph Ward, man. Because you definitely got people that say Mary was 14 years old. So again, they make this point that specifically the text doesn't say, but popular tradition paints Joseph as much older, and Mary was a teenager, likely 13 to 16, and Joseph was in his 20s or 30s. So they saying in the historical cultural context, first century Judea girls were typically betrothed between ages of 12 to 15, while men were often married in their late teens or 20s. Some scholars suggest a smaller gap with Joseph only a few years older than Mary. And that's where your consternation come in at. because they're looking at the betrothal process and they saying, okay, they hunching. And they not understanding the betrothal process, just like what you read in Genesis 38. Okay, man, my son is yours, but he not grown yet. So you got to wait till he grown. Just because somebody's been promised to somebody doesn't mean that they get hitched that day and they go to hunching and this, that, there, and the third. No, she got to come of age first. You know what I'm talking about? Or he's got to come of age first. And then that's done. Shalom, Brother Shaul, man. Everything good, man. Same for you, my G. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just wait that out. But coming to Malachi, because that junk got heated, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, people was going left and right about that. You know, me, myself, I told my dog, their mother, like, hey, man, it's not my place to tell no grown man what to do with his daughter. You know what I'm saying? You want to marry, because he was asking, would you be okay with your daughter being married at 18? Would I marry my daughter off at 18? Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? But it's not because it's a sin per se. I don't think she has the mental and emotional capacity to be somebody's wife at 18 years old. That's just me. If another man wanted to marry his daughter at 18, whether he married her to an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 24-year-old, that's his business, because that's his child. You know what I'm saying? Like I mentioned beforehand, you know, a lot of people be wanting to interfere and feel like, oh, I'm an elder, pastor, apostle, bishop, teacher, whatever the case may be, and you can make decisions on people's lives. You can't. All you can do is give your counsel. It's on them what they want to do. But them your turn. You know what I'm saying? So I can't tell you when or when not to give your child's hand in marriage. I know that I'm not going to do it. I wouldn't give my son to be nobody's husband at 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? You literally, at least in the context of this society, became an adult. So why would I want to rush to thrust on you a major responsibility of being in care of somebody else's life? You know what I'm saying? You know, that ain't even fair to them. You know what I'm saying? They need still a little bit of time period to sort out who they are, if they're not sure who they are at that particular point. You know what I'm saying? And get a little bit more game up under their belt. You know what I'm saying? You know how black folks is in America. You ready to get them churn out your house. I don't even understand that thought process of wanting to push your children out your house. They're still a child, cuz. You know what I'm saying? Just because they 18 doesn't mean that they're a functional adult. That's still a child. They ain't even had an opportunity to build nothing in life, to go out here to do nothing. They just got out of school. And 9 times out of 10, most of y'all gonna want to send your children to college or some type of trade school or something of the sort, if those type of things will even be available by the time they come of age to that point, because God only knows what the state of the world to be in 5 years, much less 10, 15, 20, depending on the age of your child. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, nevertheless, back to Malachi. I just had to lay that flat, because sometimes when we having conversations, you can't lay that stuff that flat. And then some stuff can't be laid flat because everybody wants it to explicitly say, oh, you can only marry a girl if she's 18. You know what I'm saying? Or she's on, like, come on, blood. Because when we were going back and forth about this, man, the Deuteronomy, man, that man tell you plain today, all unrighteousness is an abomination. All. Then, of course, in the epistle letters, Paul let it be known, let's do the things that become a sound doctrine. It means those things that are healthy. So everything that ain't spelled out, if you say you got the word of God in you, or the spirit of God abides in you, then you should know what's sound doctrine and that which is righteous or unrighteous, whether it's spelled out explicitly or not. And you should have the fortitude and the conviction to say that, irregardless of a nigga. Well, it don't say that explicitly. Well, then you go do it then, nigga. How about that? Because I'm not finna sit here and argue with you about that. Okay, you feel like it don't say that, then go promote it. But the difference is in the same breath, they say they won't promote it. So if you won't promote it, then fool, you know it ain't right. That's common sense. Because as it says in John 5, man, as the Father do, the Son do likewise. And this is one thing that we should all have the understanding and know, that the Father in heaven, everything he do, his Son could emulate. So if your children can't emulate that behavior because you wouldn't participate in that behavior, then you know that's not a behavior that God would stamp. Because anything you do, your son should be able to do. If you don't want your children to do it, that means you shouldn't be doing it. It's that simple. It ain't even that deep. That's common sense. You think the Father in heaven and the angel and the heavenly host shooting heroin in heaven, man? You think they smoking a doobie? You think they smoking a cigarette? Because people, they don't say it's a sin. Some stuff you got to know. Is this sanctified behavior, cuz? I don't care nothing about church traditions and all that there, man. That's what people get caught who don't care nothing about all that. Is this behavior that is becoming of somebody who says they're set apart? That's your determination. If you feel like, hey man, they don't say that in there, well then smoke the whole pack of post then, man. Go get you a fat bag of skunk, man. Blow down. I ain't finna go back and forth with you about it. You feel justified, man. You take that up with God when you see him, man, and see how that work out for you. You know what I'm talking about? As for us, no, we're not co-signing that. And that be the problem. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to be sons and daughters of God, then you got to be that. You can't be that by straddling the fence or trying to cater to it. You can't be that, man. It is what it is. If you don't like me about it, you don't like me about it. Because come on, man. There's no way that you would think the Father in heaven be like, yeah, man, get that opium and snort it, bro. Go ahead and shoot that up. That's cool. Ain't got a problem with that. Go ahead and sit around all day smoking weed, man. It's no big deal. Burn him down. Have you a good time. Snort that coke, man. Smoke that crack. Take that oxy. Take that. You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro. Anybody who's been around people who've been on drugs, you already know, man. That ain't what it do. And people didn't flood these streets with all these narcotics because it would bring some type of godliness up out of here. Them people knew what they were doing when they flooded these streets with this work. They knew what they were doing. And they knew why they was doing it. But nevertheless, man, back to Malachi 3. Some say the same about alcohol. Because you see the text speak on that. I can tell you like this here. He said don't be a drunkard. I don't know what he determines what drunk is. Or, you know what I'm saying? Also, it could be you continuously getting drunk every day. All I can tell you is, well, you better weigh and consider if that's something that you choose to do. And we've always said that. You got to weigh that out and consider that because you don't know. Me, myself, I don't drink. I ain't drink before the work. You know what I'm saying? So that was neither here nor there for me. But for other people, it may be different. I can give you the definition of drunkard, you know what I'm saying, on general principle. At the end of the day, everybody grown. And you know what you're doing, and you know what you're not doing. It's the same way when people ask when the text say, oh, you ain't supposed to have long hair. I can't tell you what long hair is, but you know it when you see it. And we don't need to play stupid about that. You know what I'm talking about? As far as you looking for an exact measurement of this, that, there, and the third. But you know what it means. You know what it is when you see it. So if you know what it is when you see it, then you can simply just do what Absalom did and you pull your hair or you trim it down. If locks is something that you desire to have, it's not that difficult. You know what I'm saying? It's not that difficult. Because matter of fact, in Ezekiel 44, where it said that, it said they can only pull their heads, which means they trim it down. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. Like, it ain't no deeper than that. We make we make simple things complex. It's not that complex. It's not that complex at all. And if you feel like, oh man, he just made that up, then as forth as what Paul's statement in Corinthians about that, then that's your business. Now, when they tell you what a drunkard is, it is sobe, samak, bat, and olive. That's drink, liquor, or wine. Concretely, wine. Abstractly, carousal. Drink, drunken, wine. So what is it to be carousing, if you would? Some of you used to carouse and peruse at one time in your life. That might point back to what's in Peter. You know, the carouse is to drink alcohol, behave in a loud and boisterous and merry way, and engage in noisy, lively partying. Often implies excessive drinking and revelry. And it stems from the German word garus, which means to drink everything up. So yeah, it definitely relates right back to what's in 1 Peter 4. When you go read that on general principle. And now you get what he mean when he say, hey man, don't be no drunkard. And you do that and make it plain and make it simple. You got something tangible to look at to forth what you measure yourself against. This is 1 Peter 4:3. For in the times past, our life might suffice to have wrought the will of the Gentiles when we walked in lasciviousness, lusts, excess of wine, revilings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? You want to sit around here, drink and be loud and boisterous and do this, that, and the third. Okay, you're sinning against God at this point. That's not behavior becoming to somebody who say, I'm a son of God. I'm a daughter of God. We talked about this the other day. Hey, man, all Yasharal is not a Yasharal. He say it's not the children of the flesh that's counted for the seed, but the children of the promise, which means that's those who are born of the word. So if you're born of the word and you've renewed yourself in your mind and become a new creature, then you live differently. You think differently. And it just is what it is. It's just certain things that you're not going to participate in. And we can't be worried about not offending the sensibilities of other people who determine in their mind that this is something that they're going to participate in. Well, participate in it then. I don't have no need to justify to you why I'm not going to participate in this. If I told you, hey, man, based off what I see right here, I'm not participating in that. If they get a conviction, a condemnation, whatever adjective you want to use in their mind about a stance you taking, then let that be the case. Because see, a lot of times people thinking that you're trying to come at them and hit them with a doctrine or whatever the case may be. Because you asked, I told you. You ain't got to do nothing. Matter of fact, I'm not impressing and imparting on you on nothing. You asked me why I don't do this, and I told you. If that got you offended because I told you that, take that up with the Lord when you see it. Yeah, I'm not doing all that with you, cuz. I'm not doing that. I didn't tell you what you could do. I'm telling you what I'm not going to do. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way. I tell you, man, look here, man. You can go to work on the Sabbath. I'm not. I don't care how much money they offer. I don't care if they threaten to fire. I don't care about none of that, cuz. I don't care nothing about what this man talking about. I'm not doing that. If you be like, it's lawful to do good on the Sabbath, well, go do good then. I'm not going under no circumstance. What if they fire you? Well, they just going to have to go ahead and strike the match then. I'm not concerned with that. Because if I believe that Yahuah will not suffer the righteous to beg for bread, I'm not concerned about no man taking no job from me, cuz. I ain't concerned with that. I ain't concerned with losing no contract, no job with no client because I won't bend and capitulate to their demands. I'm not doing that. Man, I'm a man, cuz. I'm not doing that. And if you mad, then shoot, put on a cape and be super mad. I don't care. Like you at the end of the day, we have to get to the point, man, do you trust God or do you trust man? We just read about that man, cursed be the man that trusteth in man. You trust man enough to be like, well, what if he fired me? I'm going to just abide here. Man, I don't care about if you fire me, cuz. Now, you might not be that strong in the faith to do that. And that's fine. I'm just telling you, I don't care personally. Me personally. I don't care what they talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you what to do. I ain't telling you to walk off your job. You know what I'm saying? I ain't telling you to no call, no show. I'm not telling you to do that. You got to be man enough to make a decision on what you are and aren't going to do. But I'm telling you what I know what I'm going to do. I'm not coming. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not coming. And I already told y'all that. You know what I'm saying? In my personal life, what that was, man, what I lost out on, man? Shoot. 29, $48,000 behind that, man. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, they like, yeah, nah, man, it's atonement, cuz. Oh, and we got tabernacle, man. I can't show up for that. Them people, man, and it's a weekly Sabbath. They mad about that. Man, you could take them $48,000 and shove them up your rectum. And I needed that bread, but I ain't needed that bad. Hey, I ain't needed that bad. You know what I'm talking about? Not that bad. Because I got to look myself in the mirror, man. How I'm going to look my son in the eyes and be like, yeah, cuz I know this is what we supposed to be doing, but daddy had to go get that bread. What type of lesson of manhood you giving him? You telling me you only be a man when it's convenient for you? You only be a man when there's no discomfort? Nah, being a man is standing on the principles that you profess to proclaim on, even in the face if you take a loss. That's whether we in the word or not. That's just being a man. You gonna compromise yourself for some cash? Well, if you'll do that, man, guess what you'll do? You'll give up your butthole too. And when I say that, I'm not talking about your literal, sphincter, man. I'm talking about you give your soul up, man. You sell yourself out. You whore yourself out. That's why the man say, what profit does a man profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? You want to lose your manhood? You want to lose your honor? You want to lose your principles for a couple dollars? That's where your treasure at, man. Man, people take that, show that up. They butthole. But come on back to Malachi, man. Man, I ain't on that, man. But everybody different. And you have to sit back and look at it. Man, everybody might not have the conviction that you have. And that's fine. I ain't going to ridicule you. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. That's how you saw it. Hey, you got to live with that. I ain't got to live with that. You know what I'm saying? But as a man, you got to make sure you can look yourself in the mirror and you ain't got no problem with what you see looking back. Some men can't look themselves in the mirror, man, because they know what they done did out here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, if your face clean out here on these streets, man, your face clean in heaven, you can walk around like a man. A lot of people can't do that because they done sold themselves out. So you think selling yourself out is selling your soul to the devil or selling out to a company. Selling yourself out is compromising the principles and the integrity that you profess publicly to have, and you compromise them. That's selling yourself out. Yeah, you can't do that. That is no man. See, the Most High gonna get you right along the line is you serving him in the goodness of your heart. That's how I look at it. And that's a fact, man. And I've always held that position. Because he said he showed mercy to thousands of them who love him and keep his instructions. So you mean to tell me if I lost a job or a contract or whatever because I kept his instructions and he wasn't merciful to me, that means he would be a liar. And one thing I know, that Elohim is not a man that he should lie, nor the son of a man that he should repent. If he said it, shall he not do it? So if he say he show pity to those who fear him and he show mercy to those who fear him, then I don't care about your job, cuz. I don't care. Because if I had to fall in your hands or God's hands, I'm going to fall in God's hands. Because that's what David said. It's better for me to fall in the hands of the living Elohim than to fall in the hands of man. I'm not going to subject myself to be at the mercy of a man. Because man is weird. He'll do all type of things. I know the mercy of God endures forever and reach unto heaven. So I'll roll with that. Some people don't look at it like that. Some people not strong in the faith. And I mention this because you have to have the determination and understanding to know that just because you may be that strong in your faith don't mean that brother is. So you have to be careful on how you see. Some people will get on here, they'll hear niggas be like, man, they'll get this, that, there, and the third. But I'm just stating unequivocally certain points and principles. If I was talking to you individually, I'm not going to talk to you like that individually because I don't know how strong your faith is. I don't know what your situations and circumstances is or none of that. So we just going to have a conversation like a regular person. It ain't going to be, look at this nigga here. He go to work on the Sabbath. What's wrong with you? Nobody doing all that, bro. You know what I'm talking about? Because I know for the most part, it don't be people who've been in the word 15, 20, 30 years who own that. It's usually people who younger, fresher in it. You know what I'm talking about? And they really be in a crossroads, if you will. You know what I'm saying? A balance beam of this is what I want to do, but I know, I got these responsibilities, this, that, there, and the third. How do I deal with that? You know what I'm saying? And that's not an easy thing to just be like, nah, cuz this is what you ought to do, and this is what it is. My only issue be when there's people who say keep the Sabbath and condemn people for not doing it while they go to work on it. See, you's a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Because you should have just kept your mouth closed. You know what I'm saying? You should have just kept your mouth closed. Because you can't be telling people to do something in one breath and then you not doing it, and then you castigating and ridiculing and besmirching people, and you doing the same thing they doing. Nigga, you're weird. Let's get that out of the way. And you not 100. Just keep it a beam. If you be like, hey, man, shoot, we need to keep the Sabbath, but shoot, I be going to work, bro, because them people say this, that, there, and the third, man, and I believe it's lawful to do good on the Sabbath, and this is something that I believe is doing good. I can respect that. I may not agree with it, but I can respect that because you being 100. When I say not agree with it, that's not attractive action that I would take personally because I don't care. I'm be honest with you, man. And I thank the Lord for my parents and the and my OGs and big homies and big cousins and all this here. I ain't seen a white man on this earth I fear enough to compromise myself for. I ain't seen one. I ain't met one. I ain't heard the voice of one. There ain't a job, ain't a position, ain't nothing on this earth that this white man can take from me that our Father in heaven can't return to you multitude fold. So I don't care nothing about that. And you threatening me, don't put no fear in my heart. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't got no trepidation or nervousness or nothing. I remember being a jet, man, working in them restaurants, man, and they be like, oh, the general manager coming, and you seeing all these people lose their brain. Oh, I'm like, oh, my God. Y'all doing all this here, man. Come on, man. Man, I don't care who coming through here. Man, God ain't coming through here. So I don't care who coming around here. Man, I'm not doing all that, blood. I'm not doing all that. Not about no man. No, sir. That junk just tripped me out. People be terrified. Man, just like you got this job, you can get another one. Ain't going through all that. Say, reminded me of that willful loss of profit is a type of foolishness. Indeed, they do. That's a fact, man. Say, but can you say it's a sin against Yahuah per se to work on the Shabbat or something? Now, all I can tell you, Nisha, is what the text say. The text say, anybody who do any servile work therein. You know what I'm saying? Let's take a look at that. That's all I can say. The words say, don't do no servile work. That's what it say. You know what I'm saying? So according to that definition, I would say according to the word, that's not something I would think you should go do. You know what I'm saying? Some people are going to interpret it different. That's their business. You know what I'm saying? That's their business. Is service work being paid or work being paid right? So let's take a look, right? I'm in Exodus 31, you did. This is 14. You shall keep the Shabbat, therefore, for it is Kadash unto you. Everyone that defileth shall surely be put to death. For whosoever do any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is Shabbat of rest, Kadash to Yahuah. Whosoever do work in the Shabbat shall surely be put to death. Now, I mentioned the servile work because that's what it says in Leviticus 23. I'll slide over there to Leviticus 23. This is verse 7 that I'm in. This is why I read verse 5 because it's relating to unleavened bread. In the 14th of the first month at even is Yahuwah's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahuwah. 7 days must you eat unleavened bread. And the first day you shall have a Kadash convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. But you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah 7 days. And the seventh day of Kadash convocation, you shall do no servile work therein. Y'all remember we coming back to Malachi. I'm going to get to the key point. We kind of ventured off. But it's okay. Let Yahuwah be esteemed. It go how it's supposed to go, when it's supposed to go. So work should be abadah or abador, word that you're familiar with. This one here is Malachi, occupation, work, business. Occupation, business, workmanship, service, public, business, political, or religious. Generally, employment, never servile or work, abstractly, concretely. Business, cattle, industrious occupation, so on and so forth. Great day, Monster. So, servile describes a willingness to serve or please others, often showing submissive, fine, and slave-like labor. It describes someone behaving like an inferior, often lacking self-respect or related to slavery. Example, servile attitude. So now we'll give you servile from Leviticus 23. Servile here is abodah, labor, service, labor, work, labor of a servant or slave, labor, service of captives or subjects, service of God, work of any kind, bondage, bondservant, effect, labor, ministering, office, service, tillage, use, work, wrought. What you got there, man? Nigga's favorite line, my Sabbath on my off days. Now, when you sit back and you say, okay, like what Omar asked, is this service work being paid for or work being paid right? So obviously, when they're talking about not doing any work, because he mentioned this in Amos, you know, you want to go out here and tread the corn when this going past. It's how you make your money. So however you make your money on the Sabbath, you shouldn't do that because you got 144 hours to do that. 24 hours, yeah, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time I had to cater an event and Larry Bird was being on and they told the staff to look at the floor, held my head up and looked dead in his eyes. Yeah, man, shoot, I'm finna dip. You know what I'm talking about? So that's what it say. Now, is you talking about is it work if you say you could, because it tell you that every man must work for the feast days as it pertains to making food. Is it work for real if you're making food? No. Is it work if you went to assist somebody in something that they weren't able to do? No. What I mean by that? Say your grandma hit you up, man. I got something over here, man. I can't move it, baby. Can you give me some help? Are you work that day? No, you didn't. You know what I'm saying? So it's simply, and then she put on the synonym subservient, ubiquitous, cringing, fawning, slavish, groveling. You know what I'm saying? Now that's it from the English definition of servile. You know, we just read in the Hebrew definition of servile. It just means to go to work or service. You know what I'm saying? So you take feast days off as unpaid days from work, and that's cool. You know, and most people here do. They usually take the Sabbath off. You know, I'm not going to tell somebody that you got to take the whole week off. If you able to take the whole week off, praise be to Yahuah. You know what I'm saying? But I just know some people try to tell people they sinning if they don't take the whole week off. I can't tell you that because that's not true. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's not necessarily that there's a scriptural prohibition on funerals on the Sabbath. I wouldn't necessarily go to one on the Sabbath, but is it a sin to go to one? No. In general, Israelites wouldn't go to a funeral on the Sabbath because it would make them unclean. Now, Israelites didn't have funerals, so there's that. You know what I'm talking about? They would bury bodies immediately. So, you know, that's a different thing. So you have a question regarding servile work. My daughter gets tutored on the Sabbath. She has activities on that day, working hard to put everything in the weekday, maybe Sundays. It depends on what you call an activities, because that's when you have to look at the Sabbath as he say, don't profane it. So profane it means to make it common. So if you're making it like every other day, then you would be profaning the Sabbath because it's supposed to be a set apart day. So you ain't supposed to do on the Sabbath what you do on the first day of the week or the third day of the week or the fifth day of the week. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, it's not sanctified, it's common. And that day is not supposed to be common. It's supposed to be different from all the other days of the week. So if those activities or things of that nature is something that you would do on the other days of the week, then that day is not sanctified, it's common. You know what I'm talking about? See, the Sabbath in and of itself ain't just, okay, we show up for service or show up to listen to some word. The totality of the day is to be set apart. So this day has to be different from all the other days. Let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. Ezekiel. 22 and 26. Her priests have violated my law and they profaned my Kadash things. They've put no difference between the Kadash and profane. Neither have they showed between the unclean and the clean. And they've hid their eyes from my Shabbats. And I am profaned among them. Also, the Sabbath is kind of everyday lifestyle to a degree, if that makes sense. Indeed. Say when your daughter has track meets on the Sabbath, unfortunately, season. Well, yeah, you ain't got no control over that, so ain't nothing you can do about that. Because she ain't under your roof, so ain't nothing you can do about that. Now I'll give you the definition of profane, and I'll get over here to Ezekiel. Profane is kalal, to profane, to defile, to pollute, to desecrate, to be defiled, to make common, to dishonor, to treat as common. So the Sabbath can't be treated as a regular day, because you got 6 regular days. This day ain't regular. You know what I'm saying? Come over here to Malachi. And that's all you can take an individual to, Nisha, just show them, and then, hey, it's on you what you decide to do. You know what I'm saying? It's on you what you decide to do. There's some people, they like, hey, we watch football games and movies, and this, that, day on the Sabbath, that's your business. You know what I'm saying? That's your business. To them, they feel like, hey, it ain't no big deal. But they say, hey, man, don't make this day profane. Don't defile it. Don't pollute it. Don't make it common. Don't make it regular. Because this ain't no regular day. He said, I set this day apart explicitly and specifically for a reason. I gave you 144 hours to do whatever it is that you desire to do. I need you to sanctify these 24 and not make these 24 like them 144. And that's all you can tell people, man. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. Malachi 3:13. And your words have been stout against me, saith Yahuah, yet you say, what have we spoken? So much against you. You have said it is vain to serve Elohim, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance and that we walk mournfully before Yahuah of hosts? And now we call the proud happy, and yea, they that work wickedness are set up. Yea, they that tempt Elohim are even delivered. Then they that feared Yahuah spake often one to another, and Yahuah hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him that feared Yahuah and thought upon his name. So as y'all gentlemen stated earlier, succinctly and justifiably, you know, to have your name written in the earth is to be separated from God. But those who have feared Yahuah and thought upon his name, they have a book of remembrance, their name written in heaven. You know what I'm saying? Though your name may be forgotten in the earth, your name ain't forgotten in heaven. Which was my point of what came to my mind with that with Joseph. For us to understand this point. Though when you die, your name may be forgotten in the earth. If you've been sealed with the Ruach HaKodesh and born of the word and believed on Yahushua, as the scripture has said, so out of your belly flow rivers of living water, you'll never be forgotten in heaven. Ever. Man may forget you, but God won't. You know what I'm saying? And that's the aspect that you got to recall to be a piece of comfort. You know what I'm saying? Like you say in Thessalonians, you know, the dead and the Mashiach rise first. That's a piece of comfort for us to understand when the day of our demise is upon us. Because believe you me, we all got a day. We all got a day. You know what I'm saying? And that's for certain. You know what I'm talking about? And like I say, man, you know, a lot of people indeed are there, man. A lot of people be so focused about being remembered in this life that they not remembered in heaven. What good is if you remembered in the earth, but you forgotten in heaven? That ain't no profit. You know what I mean? That ain't hitting on too much nothing, to be 100% honest with you. But come back to Exodus, though. And, you know, of course, ain't nothing inherently wrong if you look at certain things and say, hey, man, I want to make my mark, Exodus 2:23, a mark in this life. Like, I take this into mind, like when you look at stuff like, say, with Hall of Fames and stuff like that, you know, we'll live on in immortality. Man, you don't know what's going to happen in this world, man. That damn Hall of Fame get blown up. Boy, you ain't immortal, boy. That's why they make these statutes and they got these Hall of Fames and this, that, there, and the third, because in their way, that's their way of living forever. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? Let me look at Proverbs 22:1. That ain't necessarily the case, man. Your name written in the earth, baby. Your name ain't written in heaven, man. What good is that? What good is that? Indeed, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. and a loving favor rather than silver and gold. And of course, when you hear these certain things, because people have a lot of thought processes about people who deal with the word. You know what I'm saying? So, and they look at it as, oh, that's either people look at it as that's poverty talk or that's prosperity talk, man. Some stuff just is what it is. It ain't nothing. It ain't none of that. So yeah, I get people wanting to leave a legacy in history on the natural. Yeah, and I mean, like you said, like Solomon said, it can be vanity and vexation of spirit. I ain't knocking nobody, man. Everything's just about perspective. You feel me? It's just about having a proper perspective. Something, a lot of things ain't wrong. You know what I'm saying? You just got to have the proper perspective. Because without the proper perspective, you can get carried about it and get tossed in a direction that you may not want to go in. You know what I'm saying? By the time you realize you don't want to go in that direction, it might be too late. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people get emotional about certain things because people want to feel like whatever it is that I desire to do or want to do, I want to believe God is justifying me. So if you saying X, Y, Z, and they don't believe that, and they feel like you attacking them, even if you're not directly attacking them, Exodus 2:23. And that's how people respond. And you just got to know that. And it just is what it is. You can't trip. You know what I'm saying? Because what good is that going to do? Exodus 2:23. Yes, sir. And it came to pass in the process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the sons of Yasharal sighed by the reason of the bondage, and the cry came up unto Elohim by reason of the bondage. Elohim heard their groaning. Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and with Jacob. Elohim looked upon the sons of Yasharal, and Elohim had respect unto them. Now, when you look at respect here, of course, is a word that's going to tend to, he acknowledged them. So if my memory serves me correctly, it might be Yada, but let me make sure. And it is. Yada, he knew them. He perceived them. He discerned them. He recognized them. He acknowledged them. So when you look at Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, it's an aspect of looking at he is acknowledging you. So when we come back to Lamentations, right, from where I even took off from there in the first place. Lamentation 5, right? That's where it was at. 5:1. Remember, O Yahuah, what has come upon us, consider and behold our reproach. So we came from that, he's saying, hey, can you consider us? So again, what does it mean for him to consider? Nabat, to look and to regard or to pay attention to, or to consider, to look upon and regard, which is similar to the definition that you see in the Exodus. You know what I'm saying? But, look upon and behold our reproach. Look upon and consider our dishonor. He said our inheritance is turned to strangers and our houses to aliens. Now, when you look at during the time of Yahushua, obviously, he dwelt in the land of promise as a stranger, as did Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He said we are orphans and fatherless, our mothers are widows. So in this aspect, what is an orphan? And how does this pertain to the testament? What is an orphan? Yathom, an orphan, a fatherless child, or a lonely or a bereaved person, a fatherless child. So it's twofold definition. It's a fatherless child and it's a bereaved person. So when you look at bereaved and of course fatherless and our mothers as widows, it takes us back to the conversation that we had last week. Say that again. What you asking? I mean, with the tutoring, that's not something that you sit back, you look at the Sabbath with tutoring. Is that profaning it? Is you making that day common? You know what I'm saying? Because if you got classes 6 days a week, and then you saying, well, I'm going to study and do my classes on the Sabbath, have you made that day sanctified or have you made it common? I.e., that is just like every other day of the week. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you determine things. Because he said this day here is set apart. So then he say, don't profane my Sabbath, which is to make it common, to defile it, to pollute it. So to make it common is to make it like any other day. So you look at the Sabbath, should you be doing on this day what you would do any other day? Because if you would do this on any other day, that means you've made it common. And if you've made it common, that means that's something that we shouldn't do based off what he said. You know what I'm talking about? And that's the easiest way to determine things. You know what I'm saying? Some people want to be super duper rigid and this, that, there, and the third. And I get it because there has to be some rigidity to what we got going on. But to use tangible, godly, Ruach-led sense, we have to look at, okay, what does he ask for? And then what are we doing? So does that go for things like cooking and cleaning? Is this something that we do on another day? Now you look at cooking, see, and I know that's a fair question what you asking, because some people go to the extreme. See, cooking wouldn't be profaning the Sabbath. Case in point, when Mashiach say, hey, the priests work in the temple every day, because all them sacrifices they did, they were cooking them and they were eating them. It's the same way, whether it's for the first day of unleavened bread, the last day of unleavened bread, for Pentecost, for first and last day of tabernacles, or for trumpets. It's a feast day and you cooking. Now, when they say feast, we know that means appointed time. It doesn't necessarily mean feast in the context that we would look at feast. But there's a passage in the law that says it's lawful that every man must eat. Let me find that for you. I think that's an Exodus that we desire. Let me find that for you. Because a dude was talking about that the other day, using that same logic, talking about that manner. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that junk is crazy. Exodus 12. You got to prepare beforehand. He didn't tell you preparing food beforehand on the Sabbath without cooking. Of course, you know, people, and we could look at it when they say it was that preparation day. There was other preparations that the people was making. Some people didn't have refrigerators and things of this nature that we have to do that with no food, man. Plus, their diets were totally different based off of those things. But nevertheless, Exodus 12 and 14. This shall be unto you for a memorial. You shall keep it a feast of Yahuah throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by ordinance forever. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day shall you put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eat leavened bread from the first day unto the seventh, that soul shall be cut off from Yasharal. And in the first, a Kadash convocation. And in the seventh, there shall be a Kadash convocation. To you, no manner of work shall be done in them, save which every man must eat. That only may be done of you. So when you sit back and you look at when you talking about labor, yeah, you cook yourself something to eat, and obviously you should clean up behind yourself. Should you be doing full-scale cleaning of your house on the Sabbath? No, because that would be making it common, because that would be part of the preparation. If you felt like you needed to clean your house and wash all your clothes, you should have did that the day before, because you didn't need to do that on that day. You know what I'm saying? That's making it common. Wash your clothes when the Sabbath is concluded. Clean your house when the Sabbath is concluded. It's simple. You know what I'm saying? But as fourth is eating, like these niggas got niggas around here. What's up, eh? These niggas got niggas around here eating cold cut, eating cereal. You know you're lactose intolerant. You got bubble guts. You got diarrhea. You're farting everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Man, go on in there and fix you something to eat, cuz. Because that's supposed to be a joyous occasion, not a burdensome time. You know what I'm saying? It's not supposed to be a burdensome time. Go get you something to eat, man. You know what I'm talking about? Go on in there and fix you something to eat, man. Because and people always trip me out with that too. Say, how about loaning people money on the Sabbath? I mean, if you giving somebody some money, that ain't no big deal. That ain't no business transaction. You know what I'm saying? Somebody down bad and they like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I got you. Here's $100. That's the definition of doing good on the Sabbath. They down bad. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, they down bad. Man, people make the word way more difficult than what it need to be, man. You know what I'm saying? I say, man, niggas sit here and cook on the Sabbath for unleavened bread, but tell you can't cook on the weekly Sabbath and tell you, oh, that Sabbath different. Nigga, how? Like, nigga, how? It's the same thing. People make the Sabbath like super, super deep. Bro, it's simply a set-apart gathering and a sanctified day. That's it. Some people take the Sabbath for sleeping all day. That's not what he communicated. You know what I'm saying? But that's, hey, you want to sleep all day? Sleep all day. I don't give a damn. You know what I'm talking about? But when you look at what he communicated, no, that's not what he communicated. Set apart day. Don't make this day common. Focus on me, rest in me, gather, hear some word, eat, worship, praise. Simple. That's a fact, Monte. That's what I be saying. Every Sabbath should be treated the same, high Sabbath or not. And I don't think people understand that. I don't think people understand that because they don't really want to do it. And that's fine. You know what I'm saying? That's your business. I ain't got nothing to do with that. John 9. And the reason why I keep focusing on that's fine, and I don't care, meaning that you can't get wrapped up on trying to force somebody to see things how you see it. Hey, bro, if that's what you want to do, bro, then do that. It'll keep your stress down. When I say keep your stress down, it'll keep you from being frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Because people are frustrated. But once you understand and realize, man, these people gonna do whatever it is that they want to do. It is what it is. You know what I'm talking about? John 19:31, man, it is what it is. Like I say, man, you could just tell people, hey, this is what I do and this is why I do it based on how I read the text. Exodus 30, and that's with the kindling the fire. And that's what and that's fair because a lot of people look at that. Let me read this John 19:31 and we'll go from there. The Yahudim, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the stake on the Shabbat, for the Shabbat was a high day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken, that they might be taken away. And see, each what back us in on that one is, we'll look at, okay, you can't kindle fire, but then we kindle fire on unleavened bread to cook food. So is it only kindling fire for something else or for cooking? Because why can I kindle fire on this day but not that day? And then that causes a whole type of litany of consternation and fussing and fighting amongst people and things of that nature. Hold on, Joseph. I just want to read y'all the Greek definition of preparation. Preparation here is paraskoye, to make ready, preparation. That which is prepared, equipment. In the New Testament sense, in a Jewish sense, the day of preparation, the day which the Jews made necessary preparation to celebrate a Sabbath or feast or readiness. So when you look at what it's talking about, preparation is to get yourself ready on whatever it is that you need to be ready, however that look. You know what I'm talking about? That's not necessarily how people take it as preparation. And you got to cook all your food ahead of time and this, that, and the third, because again, they didn't have that type of refrigeration and reheating tools to be doing all of that. You know what I'm saying? When you look at what it was with the manna, he caused so the manna wouldn't spoil. You know what I'm saying? Man, can't nobody in no time in history where these people were living cook some lamb and leave it up overnight and it still be good when they get up the next day so they can eat that for dinner. Or eat it for lunch, if they even ate lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like that, there's no way they could have done that. That's not possible. He said almost comical how adept people are disobeying things when it's clear. It is. I mean, some people just interpret things how they interpret it. And you know, it is what it is. And that's another thing we got to look at too. If that's how the person interpreted it, then that's how they interpret it. Moses gathered all the congregations. This is Exodus 35:1. My apologies. Exodus 35:1. My apologies. Moses gathered all the congregation of the sons of Yasher all together and said unto them, these are the words which Yahuah commanded that you should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh there shall be to you a Kadash day, a Shabbat of rest to Yahuah. Whosoever do work therein shall be put to death. You shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Shabbat. So let's look at kindle fire. And that'll probably take us to what happened in Numbers 15 of what that gentleman was doing there, because he was going to kindle a fire. Now, when you look at kindle, ba'ar, that is to burn, consume, to be kindled, to burn, to consume, to kindle, to burn up. Then it's got other stuff about being stupid. So clearly, that's not talking about that. Kindle, i.e. consumed by fire or by eating, to become brutish, to be brutish, to take away, to burn, to feed, to heat, to kindle, to set on fire, or to waste. Now, the denominative verb, clearly we don't want that. But it's the burn. So now you say, hey, don't kindle no fire throughout your habitations. Let's look at something in Exodus 16, right? And let's look at what it's referring to. So Exodus 16 and 23. Matter of fact, make it 19. Moses said, let me back it up, man. My bad. 16 and 16. This is the thing which you who have commanded. Gather it of every man according to his eating. An omer for every man. To the number of your persons, take you every man which is in his tents. And the sons of Yasharal did so and gathered some more and some less. And when they did meet with an omer, he gathered much, had nothing over. And he that gathered little had no lack. And they gathered every man according to his eating. Moses said, let no man leave up till the morning. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moses, but some of them left it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was wroth with them. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. And he said unto them, this is what Yahuah hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the Kadash Shabbat unto Yahuah. Bake that which you shall bake today, and sieve that which you shall sieve, and that which remain over lay up for you to be kept unto the morning. And they laid it up until the morning as Moses bade, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. Moses said, eat that today, for today is Shabbat unto Yahuah, and today you shall not find it in the field. So when we look at contextually, when it's referring to don't kindle no fire in your habitations on the Shabbat, it's referring back to what he said in Exodus 16 when he told them that what you gonna bake, bake, and that what you gonna sieve, sieve, as it relates to the manna. So then when we get to Yahushua son of Nun chapter 5, when they came into the land, the manna ceased. So therefore the things that pertain to that no longer apply. Because that's not an overarching thing. You know what I'm saying? Continually, when you look at what's in Exodus 35, when he telling, hey, don't kindle no fire in your habitations. Because he literally just told them in Exodus 16 on the Sabbath, don't kindle no fire in your habitations. Whatever you're going to bake and seed, do that on the 6th day. Don't do that on the 7th. Now, us coming in later, and understandably so, we read that individuals told us that means you can't cook, disregarding that this is pertaining to the manna, the same way that people say, see, you need to make all your food up on the 6th day, when that's not what's being communicated. He said, I'm going to give you twice as much manna for the 6th day. This wasn't a continual instruction for people to be doubling up their food on the 6th day, because that's not what he said. He said, I'm going to give you twice as much manna, so you don't got to go out there on the Sabbath and get it. But again, number one, as we were talking about this other day, ain't none of us got no manna, ain't never seen no manna. Brother tried to tell us the manna is the food at the grocery store. That's wild. You know what I'm talking about? And people have put these level of restrictions on us to things that don't pertain to what people tell you that they pertain to. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that Exodus 35 and 3 is what have a lot of people in a chokehold. You know what I'm talking about? But then when you turn around and you look at, you know what I'm saying? You sit back and you look at the Passover, they were kindling fire in their habitations. So if they kindling fire in their habitations on the Passover, then they would be willfully and wanting violating this instruction. So now we have a conundrum. Now it would seem to an outsider that the word is contradicting itself, when in reality it is not. You know what I'm saying? The reality is that Exodus 35 and 3 is in direct correlation with Exodus 16 and 23. And that pertains explicitly and specifically to cooking manna, which I'll read Yahushua son of Nun for those who may not be familiar. And then I'll go back to Lamentations. This is Yahushua son of Nun, chapter 5. This is verse 10. And the sons of Yasharal encamped in Gilgal and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho. And they did eat of the old corn on the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the sons of Yasharal manna any more. but they did eat the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. The importance of that passage is if they stopped getting manna once they got in the land, and then you have to remember, why did they get manna in the first place? Why did they get manna in the first place? Now I'm going to read you Exodus 16 and 34. We'll make it 33. A matter of fact, 31. Because as it pertains to earlier in the chapter in Exodus 16, some people went out there on the Sabbath looking for manna and it wasn't none. What's happening, Rohan? This is Exodus 16 and 31. And the house of Yasharal called the name thereof manna. It was like coriander seed, white, the taste of it like wafers made with honey. Moses said, this is the thing which Yahuah commanded. Fill an omer of it to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread wherewith I have fed you in the wilderness when I brought you forth for the land of Mizraim. Moses said unto Aaron, take a pot, put an omer full of manna therein, and lay it up before Yahuah to be kept for your generations. As Yahuah commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the sons of Yasharal did eat manna 40 years until they came to a land inhabited. They did eat manna until they came into the borders of the land of Canaan. So when we look at Exodus 16 and 1, and they took their journey from Elim. All the congregation of the sons of Yasharal came into the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they departed out of the land of Mizraim. And the whole congregation of the sons of Yasharal murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the sons of Yasharal said unto them, would to Elohim we died by the hand of Yahuah in the land of Mizraim, when we sat by the flesh pots. And when we did eat bread to the full, for you have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Then said Yahuah unto Moses, behold, I will rain bread from Shamahim for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. So why did they get manna? Because they were complaining they didn't have food. So then he said, I'm going to use this manna to prove them, which there's testimony in that all in of itself. Then he says, hey, I'm going to give them twice as much on the 6th day for preparation. Then when you go to verse 23, he tell them, bake what you're going to bake, seed what you're going to seed. So when we come back to Exodus 35 and 3, and he tell you, kindle no fire in your habitations, it relates directly back to what he said to them in Exodus 16 and 23. And since none of us are collecting manna, and of course, the manna ceased when they came into the land. The manna was only for when they were in the wilderness. That means all the instructions that pertain to the manna are no longer there. So just like how it says in Hebrews, when he say there has to be a change in the law was changed once they came into the land, because those instructions no longer apply because you're not getting manna. So for when people tell you, you got to prepare all your food on the 6th day, they're going to go to Exodus 16 and completely omit that he talking about the manna, not the food that you bought from the grocery store, not that you went to Publix, Piggly Wiggly, Kroger's, Winn-Dixie, Albertsons, Food Line, Aldi, Costco, Sam's Club. He ain't talking about none of that. He ain't talking about none of that. He talking about manna. He said, I was going to rain you twice as much manna on the 6th day so that you don't got to go out there on the 7th. So word-wise, how you would take that, that means you would go, if you needed food for the Sabbath, that means you would probably need to go buy it on the 6th day, so you ain't got to take your black behind out the door and get it on Sabbath. Simple. You know what I'm saying? Simple. You know what I mean? But I ain't gonna say, but nevertheless, I think a lot of things it took from Jewish thought and how they operate. You know what I'm saying? Because they tell you, you profaning the Sabbath if you cut the lights on. Because that's kindling a fire. But again, kindling the fire was for the manna. It wasn't for anything else. Because what else would they need? What do you need to kindle a fire for if I've already provided you for the food for the next day? You could cook it now. Because ain't none gonna be out there for you. So if you're gonna seethe it or bake it, you need to do that today. Because there ain't gonna be none out there for you tomorrow, and I'm gonna make sure it don't rot. Now, in general, if you cook some food and leave it out overnight now, it's probably not gonna rot. You know what I'm saying? But you got better living conditions than they may have had at that particular time in human history. Let's go back to Lamentations 2. Prayerfully, that was clear to answer your query there, Eastman. Because I'd say that's a reasonable query based off of how that passage is read and commonly communicated. And I'm glad you mentioned it because I certainly forgot about it. Me getting stuck. So what I want to deal with: orphan, fatherless, widows. So of course, obviously, when Yahushua say, my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? I'm gonna read that again because you might be like, what is he talking about? This is Lamentations 5:3. We are orphans and fatherless, and our mothers are widows. So of course, and then of course it said it means a bereaved person. So we talked about this last week. He was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. He is a bereaved person. You know what I'm talking about? Then on top of that, my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? In this instance, he is fatherless. So therefore, that's where you see the testimony. I praise be to Yahuah. That's where you see the testimony being made clear. So verse 4, we have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. So of course, you know, as forth as he's getting ready to be hung from the tree, he's going to be persecuted. What does it mean when he says he has no rest? Dang, I forgot to call my brother, man. Now you look at rest, that's nuach, noon, u, and ka. To rest, to settle down, to remain, to cause the rest, to make quiet. So, of course, you know what I'm saying? In this instance, he wasn't caused the rest to be made quiet in the midst of his persecution because he's dealing with some sufferings. And y'all willing Friday, we'll go through it line by line and line it up better versus just quoting it. We'll go read it off the paper so you can see it for yourself. We have given the hand to the Egyptians and to the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. And that's where we'll stop, because we'll look at, hey, your forefathers have sinned, and Yahushua now has to carry your iniquities, and that'll take you to the aspect of the symbolic nature of him carrying that state. Your father sinned and are not, and now he's carrying that. Then we can also look at it as him being made in the flesh. Adam sinned and is not, and now he's carrying that iniquity. You know what I'm saying? But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening to bless y'all the house. Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Prayerfully, I wasn't intending on going through stuff about the Sabbath, but that's the way that we went. And prayerfully, that stuff may be made clear. But look at it. Look at it this way, man. Look at the Hebrew definition of profane. Peace, brother Omar. Look at the Hebrew definition of holy. You know what I'm saying? And then you take those definitions. You take what he say about servile work and things of that nature, and then you look at whatever action that you thinking about doing, and you juxtapose it against that, and that's how you know what to do and what not to do. Amen, man. Love you too, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's really that simple. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, the Shabbat is an appointed time, the weekly Shabbat. Amen. Shalom, Sister Gina. And it's no different than them high Shabbats. There's no different. So if you're going to cook on unleavened bread, well, I can't cook for the weekly Sabbath. That's where we should pause at. So why can I cook for this one, but not the weekly one when they are the same thing? It's an appointed time. It's an appointed time. Because then when you read that and he said, these are the feasts of Yahuah, these are the Moedim of Yahuah. These are the appointed times of Yahuah. They all the same. Peace, brother Nate. They don't change. They don't switch. None of that. It's forth as what you would do. What you would do, as Monte put it, what you would do for one Sabbath, you should do on every Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? The Sabbath for tabernacles is no different than the weekly Sabbath that preceded it. The Sabbath. Set apart convocations. Appointed times. You know what I'm saying? What ends up happening is people have made the Sabbath turned it from being a time period where individuals should rest and rejoice and made it burdensome, because now you're thinking about all these things that you can't do. And then individuals who don't want to do it, that make it be like, well, it's no big deal if you do this, when really it's just, hey, we setting it apart today. This ain't like this week. This ain't like the 6th day or the 4th day or the 1st day. This day different. That's all. That's really the cleanest and simplest way that you could put it. This day is different from all the other days. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So, Yahuah willing, man, to the next time. I love you too, man. Hold it down. Shalom, my G.